Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. Today we're making a pastel pink Alice in Wonderland cake. So jumping straight in, we are working on a 6-inch round cake secured off centre on a 9-inch drum. Dampen your cake with a spray bottle and a pastry brush. Roll out just enough baby pink to cover the top. All the stuff I use is in the description box below. Smooth the top with a flexi smoother and trim off the overhang with a scalpel. You want to aim for a nice neat cut around the top edge. It's that stuff again, Tylo powder. You're going to need to add this to white and pale pink sugar paste so that your stripes hold their shape better. Sugar paste on its own will be too soft and bendy and may drastically change the shape as you handle the stripes. Roll out the white and baby pink. A pasta machine comes in really handy here to keep the thicknesses all the same. Trim them into rough rectangles and put them to one side to firm up a bit. This is a quilting ruler. It's great for cake making as you can see your paste through it, and it has inch measurements all up the sides and the bottom. Each black square is 1 inch. You can hold it up against your cake and see how tall your stripes need to be. Mine are roughly 5.5 inch. You want to cut a straight edge with a scalpel and then position the ruler on that edge. I'm going at just over 1 inch per stripe. You want to cut all your stripes to the same size in white and pink. So for mine it's 5.5 inch high by just over 1 inch wide. Once you've let them firm up a bit, take your first stripe and add it to the front of your cake with water. You can use the ruler to push it straight and line it up. Get this first one right and the rest should follow. Onto a pink one. Line it up right against it so there's hardly a seam. Trim off the long tops with your scalpel. Give them a little rub to clean up any stray bits. You want to alternate the pink and white all the way around, making sure you work around both the sides so the gap to fill is around the back. You can use the ruler to trim off a stripe to even out the gap. Adding slightly thinner stripes to keep the alternative colours. Just hold it up and give it a quick measure. Next, for painting, grab yourself a plate. Thomas the Tank Engine is optional, and here I've got Rainbow Dust Snowdrift powder. I go through lots of this, so I transfer all the little pots into a larger container. And Sugar Flare Baby Pink Gel Colour. You want to put both on a plate and add a wet paintbrush to the gel to turn it into a paint. Adding the white powder not only lightens the colour, but also makes it more opaque. On the white stripes, start adding random blobs of pale pink paint. We are creating the look of Ditsy flower print. Next, go in with straight baby pink gel colour without the white powder and flick on lines to the blobs to make them look like edges of petals. And then lastly, use the straight white powder with water to highlight the petals. Dampen the board ready for sugar paste. We are using the same pink as the top and the stripes. For an in-depth look at how to cover the board like this, I've popped a link in the top right iCard. cut the seam where the paste overlaps at the back and smooth it together. On some greaseproof paper, I've traced the birthday girl's name, age, Alice sitting down, and a large Cheshire Cat face for the top. I just hold them up to my computer monitor and give them a quick outline. Now this stuff is called foam core or foam board, depends where you're from, and you can buy it online and in craft shops such as Hobbycraft. It's foam sandwiched between two bits of shiny card. This one is 5mm thick and it's a great medium to use. It can be cut with a sharp scalpel, not scissors, and comes in handy for toppers or backing boards. I could cut the cat face from sugar paste, but it would take quite a while to dry, and a lot of my cakes go on long car journeys, so I like to know it's going to be safe, not warp in the heat or break going over Britain's fabulous potholes. They are also good to keep as little ornaments, as most of my customers like to do that, and the crazy ones like to frame them. You want to cut out the shape without the hair spikes so it's more simplified. Make sure you use a fresh blade in your scalpel for a nice clean cut, not like mine, that's why I have little ragged bits. As you can see, the shape sits inside those spiky hairlines. For Alice, you want to trace her on both sides of the paper, just like you used to in school. Then trace around the lines with a pencil onto a piece of sugar paste that has Tylo in. Now chill your beans, pencils are non-toxic graphite, not lead, no one's gonna die. The reason we are doing it this way instead of the Dresden tool like I usually use for this method, it's because it's small with a lot of detail and it can be difficult to transfer without the lines merging. With Rainbow Dust metallic black paint, I've just watered it down a little to grey. Once you're happy with the outlines, you can darken them and also add in some sketchy lines and shading to give it an illustrated sketchbook look. Cut out the drawing to turn it into a little plaque. Pop her onto a foam pad to dry it out. With a Dresden tool, you can trace the name onto white sugar paste, again with Tylo added, and using some gold luster with lemon extract added, via a drop bottle, you can paint the name with a fine paintbrush. I already own a plaque cutter, which luckily was the perfect size, but you can of course easily cut your own using the same template method. Using the watered down grey paint, give the edges of the plaque little lines that look a bit like stitching. For Cheshire Cat, I've got some pale pink, darker pink for his fur, pale yellow and white. We are keeping him lighter than usual to fit in with the style of the cake. Dampen the foam core and roll out the darker pink for his main fur colour. Trace around the top of the head and above the mouth. Then cut him out, taking care around the spiky fur. Stick that down into place and do the same with the pale pink for his mouth area. Cut out his smile and add in white for his teeth. You can score the lines in with the sharp end of the Dresden tool. Create a tiny, slightly pointed nose in the darker pink and check it against your template for size. Add this with water and poke in some nostrils. Repeat the process for his eyes. 2 small balls of black create the pupils and you can gently pat them into place. Using the black paint, paint on whiskers and eyebrows. I'm useless with my own eyebrows, never mind the cat's eyebrows. Paint the insides of the ears with white, dust and water. Add tiny highlights to the eyes using tiny balls of white sugar paste. He's done. You can set him to one side whilst we work on the age. This is the same technique as before, just trace around the numbers and cut them out. I've popped them onto greaseproof paper to paint them gold. I have this Katie Sue mould which has keys and a padlock. I like these as they look quite Wonderlandy. I'm using paste that has lots of Tylo in and I'm dusting the mould so it doesn't stick. Push it down hard into the mould, making sure it's getting into all the little details. Then from the inside outwards, cut off excess with a knife. Slowly peel it out of the mould and you have yourself a magical looking key, or it will be once we've painted it gold. Back your numbers onto white sugar paste and cut around them. Put them to one side and add a cocktail stick like we did in the Harry Potter tutorial. I'll link to that above. Whilst your name plaque is still a little pliable, attach it to the front with water. I'm going to put my Cheshire face on an angle, so I hold my finger in place and push a cocktail stick up into the foam. That's what makes foam core great for this. Now using only one stick, you'll be prone to it spinning as it's only got one axis. So add a second stick close to it to minimise the movement. Push that down into place and also add the number. As we want the Alice plaque to stand out from the cake a little, we are using a small blob of white sugar paste to use as a support. Just push the blob of paste so it sticks to the plaque and the cake. To make some easy cartoony style roses, you don't need a cutter. Flatten out a sausage of paste and pinch the top edge to thin it out. Start curling it up to create the centre and push the excess down to create a little base for it to sit on. Do the same with another sausage, but wrap this around like a petal and pull back the top edge to create shape. Add as many petals as you like before slicing the excess off. You can make a small bud by just not adding petals. For cartoony leaves, squash a teardrop shape of mint green sugar paste and score a line into the centre. Then pull the tool from the centre to the edges, creating tiny spikes. Pinch the end together and stick it into place with water. The last thing to do is add the key to the board and we're done. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys, bye!